sucks.
New Year's resolution: get back to my modeling figure, and yeah, I'm
You're
off to a
almost
bad
there.
start.
No, you're almost there. I just
uh,
time and time we discuss this, Eric.
yeah, luckily I got Jerry here to encourage me and motivate me
Yeah.
along the way.
The guy, hey, you want another cookie?
Yeah, exactly. Hey, buddy, the Girl Scout cookies are
No,
here.
that Big Mac ain't gonna eat itself.
Yes, yes. It's great to be back.
It is.
We took a little
Hiatus?
hiatus, a
Uh
break
huh.
to enjoy the holidays, to sort of get a feel of what 2021 is going to look like. And
Yes.
so far, I'm not sure if it's going to be the unicorn and
No,
rainbows that everyone
it,
predicted. Um, there's
more
a
challenging times.
Yes,
I
it
think.
is, it
Yes.
is, and we're not going to make this about politics.
Nope.
Not any way, form, or fashion. So whether you're Republican, Democrat, Independent, uh,
Leave it at the
Oompa,
door, please.
Oompa Loompa,
Yep.
whatever. Yeah, just leave it at the door. The truth is, um, businesses are still hiring.
Yes.
People are still looking for jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a big disconnect and a challenge in that.
No, and you're right. I was watching this morning before I came to work with Linda, and they're talking about the unemployment rate and stuff. And yeah, it's up there. I get that. However, but like you just said, people are still hiring.
Yeah,
They're still wanting individuals. I saw, per example, Walmart's looking for a store manager slash trainer, and I was like, huh. Yeah, it's not a bad salary,
yeah.
but there's all kinds of jobs out there. They're still hiring. It's just things are a little bit more challenging now, I guess.
They are. And I mean, I personally, as a business service rep, I've already got probably close to 30 jobs posted out there
Mm-hmm.
for local businesses.
Exactly.
And that's all over the county, from McNeil, Arizona, to Wilcox, Sierra Vista, you know, all over.
Yeah.
And, periodically I try to sit down. I'm going to try to do it more often. And I do my own set of job searches. Because,
Yeah.
job searches are crazy. There's so many different sites right now to look at. And I put a list, I compiled a list that we have in our one stop of about 300 or more jobs
Wow.
that
That's
that are
insane.
people are currently looking for. Now, granted, yeah, I understand some of those positions may have already been filled. They're still posted because of the agreement the company. Some of them are a challenge to get into. We already know that um, government DoD civilian positions take a while to get into. Government contracting positions a lot of times take a while to get into
Mm-hmm.
because of the deep look into the background and the number of people applying. So yeah, I mean, even when you take those out, there's still a lot of
I,
positions out there looking.
and I think what's interesting too, because I've since last year and where we're at currently, you know, because of COVID-19 and all that, it's made things more challenging. But the one thing I've heard, and it's kind of annoying in a way, is well, my friend said this, or my. So my question to the job seeker: have you went out there to find out?
Yes,
Have you went to
yes,
that website to go look? Why are you taking the word of not knocking your friend or anything, or an acquaintance,
exactly.
or a family member? But what have you done to verify that information's bogus or not?
Well, and it's like in the military, we used to call them the barracks lawyers,
Oh
the
God,
ones that
yes.
knew everything. And once again, not knocking friends, not knocking
Not at all.
family. I'm sure most of them were not intentionally trying to lead you astray. But what you have to look at is every story is different.
Mm-hmm.
We get a lot of calls here on the workforce side of the house about unemployment. Well, my brother is already getting his stuff. My friend got their stuff, and they did the same thing I did. And it's like, okay, well, it may all look the same,
Exactly.
or they're trying to explain because most people don't print off the screens or the questions, and they go by what they remember, and sometimes just out of perception, what we view one way, someone views another way.
No,
So
and you're right.
not every situation. I had a young lady back when the pandemic PUA unemployment started, and she brought all of her coworkers, all of her friends in here,
Yeah.
and you know, helped them file for everything.
It was amazing what she did to help.
Yeah, but when it came time for payment, she came in and said, "Eric, every one of my friends that came in already got paid, but I'm not getting paid."
I know.
And it's like,
That's just
okay.
it's crazy.
And at the time, well, even now, we don't have access to all the PUA information. So I had her pull up her account. We went through, we looked at everything, and then one of her friends logged in to their account, and we noticed one question was answered different. And because of that one question, hers was still being investigated or reviewed because an adjudicator had to get involved because it threw up a red flag. And that one little thing, even though she helped, 10, maybe 10 or more others, that one little thing set them apart.
And you're right. And I think it's been interesting since March, between then and now. And there's certain things I've seen that just really amazes me in a way on the applying for jobs. Is I have a client. He wound up applying, and I am not making this up at all. He applied for DOC, Department of Corrections. 24 hours later, hey, you want to come take the physical? And so within a week period, he's taking physical, he's doing this, he's doing that. I'm like, wow. So they are speeding up the process certain companies are speeding up the process to get those people, the prospective employees, hired faster. Yeah, it's still probably slow, and I get that, but I thought that there's a lot of things changing. I think in a positive way.
Yeah, and most people have to weather the storm.
Yeah.
Because a lot of businesses never dealt with online other than maybe having a website to say this is what we do. And now you've got people using Zoom and other platforms to do interviews. The processing of applications and resumes are changed a lot, all because of this pandemic and a lot of the virtual work. So everything's changing. So, most of the job seekers out there, they just need to learn how to weather the storm and prepare themselves to be successful.
No, and you're absolutely correct. But it kind of factors in what you were wanting to talk about today. So you're sitting in this pandemic right now. Either you're working or you're working in your business, or you're virtual at home, or you're not working. Period. Now I think is the time to figure out what you want to do, who you are as a person, how, do you like what you do? Because do you love what you do, or do you go to work every day because it pays the bills, or I think and it's interesting. There's a lot of soul searching going on, I guess.
Yeah. Well, and now with a lot of parents that are at home with their kids doing virtual learning, this could be the perfect time for them to take a look and say, what can I do to better myself? Maybe education, maybe it's training.
I in the past year, I really dig listening to a lot of veteran podcasts, and so I was listening to one time, and it really struck home in a way. There's this he's still active duty, and he has a special operations background. So in his free time, he works with his company, and he a lot of deployments and all that other fun stuff, all that jazz. So traditionally, most people, when they retire, they get out of the military, they try and do something similar or in the same that type of structure. So he brought up something, and I thought was really fascinating. Is instead of you get out of the military, either you're working for the government or you're a cop or whatever. He was like, I'm going in an opposite direction. He's like, the people he works for, because he's an avid surfer, and so he started hanging out with like-minded individuals. It has nothing to do with being a veteran. It's just that mindset. And so it led him in a direction that is just so amazing for him. He's in reinventing himself, and I think that's, for me, that's a key, because are you happy where you work at? If you're not, what if now's the time to think outside the box and say, you know what,
Yeah,
who am I as a person as far as employment goes?
yeah. And that is the great lead into our topic today. So we're going to talk about who are you? And that goes for all you job seekers, even you
Mm-hmm.
businesses out there. Who are you? We live in a society where labels and titles rule the day.
Exactly.
We've got titles and labels for everything from to are you middle class, lower class, upper class? Are you a professional? Are you a teacher, an educator? We've got titles and labels, and
It's
it is.
wow.
And nowadays, I think the millennials started it, and nothing against you millennials, but they started talking about, I don't want to have a title, I don't want to have a label. And I understand that to an extent,
I do. I
because we're all people, you know, different color, different race, sometimes different thoughts and opinions, but we all are the human race. And sometimes the labels and the titles are what leads us to the um, sort of prejudice of life.
mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to get into a race war, but you got the rich and the poor. There's always been a
Well,
difference and a conflict. Um,
so look at it from being watching my growing up watching my parents from being a veteran. My dad was a Vietnam veteran. I saw what he went through, and it's like, oh heck no.
yeah,
When I came home from the Gulf War, it's like, yeah, let someone walk up and do let somebody do what they did to my pop. So, but we see what our parents go through, the struggle, um, working 40 plus hours a week, trying just to make their rent, trying to do that. And so, as a young kid, I'm like, oh no,
yeah,
And so, you fast forward today, like you're saying with the millennials, they're watching us go through struggles. They're watching, dad stayed in the army for 20 plus years and really didn't like it. But he or she did it because they had to pay the bills. They put food on the table. They did all this. So I'm not doing that.
yeah.
So it's interesting, like you're saying, I think.
Well, with all the titles and the labels, I think we get caught up on the social life,
Mm-hmm.
on the social side of life. However, what I want to look at today is, yes, you can call it a title, you can call it a label, I'd like to call it a category. One of the things we learned in the military is sort of a know your role, know your place,
Yeah.
you know,
Stay in your lane.
stay in your lane. And I think that we all need to observe that, even outside the military. Now, does that mean you shouldn't try to better yourself or try to move up the ladder of success? No, not at
No,
all.
no, yeah.
But know where you're at the present time.
Yeah.
And the good thing about the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act, the WIOA, is there's several categories in there of people that we can assist and we can help. Now, some people think we're unemployment and we only help the less fortunate individuals, but that's not true. We help all kinds of people, but I think the problem is people don't know which category they may fall into. And I think
Mm-hmm.
if they know that, then they can identify and go, hey, that sounds like me. Maybe I should go check them out and see what they can do to help me with that fresh start you were talking about.
Yeah, and I think it's true, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. Is that so? I'm working in this dead end job. I don't mind it, but I'm just not happy with it.
Yeah,
You know, or it makes me physically ill to walk through
yeah.
the door every day. And your stress level, you go to the doctor and like, dude, your blood pressure's through the roof. What's
Well,
going
and
on?
and a lot of it is because a lot of people, and unfortunately, it hits those with low income,
Mm-hmm.
uh, those in more poverty stricken
Yeah.
areas. They're affected by it more than those with money and well educated. You know, Unfortunately, some people got a bad, you know, what's the word I'm looking for?
A bad rap in life. A
Yeah,
bad start in life.
they got thrown a curveball somewhere, or
Yeah.
maybe it
Deck
was
stacked against them.
yeah, maybe it was you made bad decisions. Those coming out of prison, you know, it's tough for them, and I know that because, yeah, and a lot of them I'm sure are like, oh man, that was the dumbest thing I ever did.
Mm-hmm.
Now they've got a label on them that makes it hard for employment and finances. But even those with disability, even with all the laws and stuff that have changed out there, a lot of folks with disability still find struggles.
Right.
And I think a lot of it is because a lot of them don't know where to go and who can help.
And you're right. I mean, it's interesting because I have a dear friend of mine. Yeah, I love him to death. Wound up getting a job in Alaska. Basically, it's a seasonal job. So went up there. He's a welder by trade, and it wound up basic turning into something where he works his butt off during the summer, and he does whatever he wants at the end of the throughout the rest of the year, and it's just really interesting, and he gets a lot of play time, but he makes enough money to be able to do what he needs to do. And so I think it's just really interesting. There's a lot of options out there for you to do. And if you're, like I was saying a few minutes ago, if you're working that dead end job, or you like it, but it's not what you want, or you're miserable, and you're like, you know what, I just want to do something that makes me happy, where I'm still able to pay the bills, maybe make more money at, like you were saying, that's the beauty of WIOA. It does make dreams come true.
Yeah.
In a lot of cases, it really does.
And now is the perfect time to do it with all this uncertainty and unknown. I mean, I know a lot of people are going stir crazy, not being able to get out and socialize and stuff because, by nature, we're all social butterflies, whether we want to admit it or not.
Yeah.
Even the most recluse person periodically likes to have some
out
type of,
their shell.
has to come and connect. So what we're going to talk about today is who are you? Who are you in this world of workforce? What category would you fall in? And take a look at yourself. Ask yourself a few questions as we go through some of this stuff, and then think about it. Are you ready to make a change? Are you wanting something better? A better job, better money, security, longevity? I mean, there's a ton of things out there. So the Workforce Innovator and Opportunity Act, was a law passed or an act passed
Long time ago.
long time ago. It's been
Galaxy far away.
It was revised in 2014. And they changed it to the Workforce Innovations and Opportunity Act, WIOA, and it helps. The sole purpose is to help job seekers overcome barriers to employment, to find gainful, meaningful, long-term employment, to have a better start for their family, to provide more for their family and themselves. And as we talk about some of these categories, you'll see more about that. Now, along with that, Department of Labor looked at it and said, oh, hey, we've got these categories such as veterans, which Jerry's one of our veteran representatives, and the challenges that veterans have.
It's interesting, like you're saying, the barriers to employment. I normally tell my clients it could be as simple as maybe just needing a better resume or training.
Yes. Yeah.
But when you talk about barriers to employment, it's kind of an interesting discussion because what if you're only working, again, that dead end job? Is that a barrier to your employment?
Yeah.
Maybe to get something.
Do you feel
better.
like you're trapped?
Exactly.
Do you feel like, I don't have the time. How am I going to pay the bills if I'm going to try to go back to school?
Exactly.
Or if I'm going to get trained? I still got mouths to feed. I still got bills to pay. And those are true barriers. And hopefully we can identify some stuff today to get you to come in. We have an orientation Monday through Friday at 9 o'clock. We talk about our services more in depth. Sometimes you can do a one-on-one with one of our career advisors. Start a packet to see if you can qualify for us to help you with some of this stuff.
Yeah. Kind of neat.
One of the big categories it's called Title I. It's adult and dislocated worker. Okay, and a lot of people say, "Oh, I'm adult. I'm over 18. I'm an adult." Heck, I got 12-year-old at home that thinks he's an adult.
Oh,
but,
I do.
But
whatever.
Exactly. But there's so much more involved with the adult side of the house. And then of course you got that word dislocated worker. And a lot of people like, what in the world is that? What is a
Exactly.
dislocated worker? Did I fall and pop something out of place at work, and now I'm dislocated worker? But and there's actually 4 categories of the dislocated worker. And one of them I know you love is the category 1. Any individual recently separated who's a U.S. veteran within 48 months of discharge or release from active duty, who's been terminated or laid off and received a notice of termination or layoff for employment. Basically, hey, you're going home.
And basically just rack it up, people. You sign a contract, contract's ended, you're out the door, you're a civilian, you're a dislocated worker.
Exactly. And I saw it even when I was in the military. There are soldiers who get out and they don't have the means to get back to their home of record.
No, not at all.
They don't take advantage of what Uncle Sam, or else they made a mistake and they're not getting all the benefits. But a lot of it is just not knowing and understanding. So now they're stranded here. Say, for example, in wonderful Sierra Vista.
How many times have we seen it in the past?
Yeah, exactly. And there's so many resources here and stuff for veterans. Statewide.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because basically, if you're a veteran or a veteran, you just got out of the military, and you're not really sure, say you didn't ask the questions when we went to SFL TAP or anything like that, and you're just trying to figure out what direction you want to go in, or God forbid you're homeless or borderline, come on in, see myself or Kevin McFadden, and we'll get you hopefully pointed in the right direction, and just be able to get you going. If you're trying to make your way home and you're not sure who to see when you get home, again, let myself and Kevin know, and we'll get you that information.
Exactly. And there's so many resources out there, and it's come a long way.
It has. It truly has, for the better.
The transition of soldiers out of the military has come such a long way. There's a lot of knowledge, a lot of information out there. Sometimes it can be an overload of information, and that's one thing that's great about here is that we help people with that. We may not be able to help directly at that moment.
And the mindset is changing a little bit. I know back in the 90s, I remember going to a PCS brief. The instructor was up there and said, "How many of you getting chaptered or whatever?" And a few people raised their hand, and they said, "You're lucky you're getting a bus ticket. You have X amount of time to get off the installation, blah, blah, blah."
Yeah.
But, if the military is not your forte, as long as it's not dishonorable or anything like that, we'll still work with you. However,
Yeah.
the mindset is changing, where it's like, maybe it's not, maybe being a soldier is not your thing.
Yeah.
And it depends on what they did. I get that, but
and so then you got category 2. Category 2 is anybody that's been terminated, laid off, or received notice of termination. This category pertains to a lot of those folks who the business is closing down, shutting down, the Northrop Grummons of the area, the Sears of the area and stuff. So, even when Outback gave the word, unfortunately, if the organizations don't do due diligence and justice, they could put in a warn notice and get rapid response help from the workforce, and our team would go in, talk to them about unemployment, talk to them about job searches and all the resources.
And that happened within your side of the office was able to put that together in a couple hours?
Yeah.
To get over there and talk to those people?
Yeah, and we've actually got a pretty good system now. I mean, it's taken some work and stuff, but if you know people that are getting ready to be let go, whether it's the places closing or they're doing a drawdown, I mean, this pandemic has affected a lot of people. By all means, have them reach out here to Arizona at Work. Let us know. We can put up a rapid response team, come out, talk to them about all this stuff, from unemployment to job searches to who's hiring to resumes. We're here to help, and it costs nothing. I mean, that's great.
I love that. It's free. And that's the beauty of all this. And I'll say, we just want to do what's right. We just want to help.
Yeah.
if you qualify, we just want to pay for your training.
Yeah,
We,
exactly.
we just want to buy you clothes or
Yeah,
shoes,
we want to help you be successful.
tools. That's all we want to do.
You know, in the military, when they do that, they ask for a couple of more years tacked
Yeah.
onto your service. You know, we don't ask for that.
Hey,
Exactly. You know, we want your firstborn, your sample, and blood sample. You know,
the whole 9 yards.
you
No,
know.
but you're right. It's just our organization such as ours. There's no catch.
Yeah.
All you got to do is qualify.
Yeah,
And
we
it's
want you to
very
be
easy
successful.
to qualify.
You know, and everywhere I go, I usually end up talking about work, and I'm talking to people. Hey, this is what I do, how I do, and I'll mention us, Arizona at Work, and people are like, "Never heard of you." I didn't know that. Wow, that's cool. And that's one of the reasons we do this Workforce Live show is that one, we can spread the news. You know, we could sit here for hours on hours talking about everything we can do. But, you know, one of the key things is we need you as an audience to share.
Exactly.
To let people
Put the word
know.
out.
You know, hey, got a cousin, got a brother, got a sister, got a mother, got a dad, you know, friends, whatever, you know, send them our way.
Exactly. Let us explain to them how they can or how they cannot. You know, if they can qualify or if they may not. And honestly, and if they don't, depending upon what it is, there's still resources out
Yeah,
there they may
exactly.
be eligible for.
Exactly. You know, and one of the big things in this area, in Cochise County area, and even up in Graham and Greenlee, this category 3 could be a big play. Because category 3 under dislocated worker is individuals who were self-employed, including employment as a farmer, a rancher, or a fisherman.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but now you're unemployed due to economical conditions, pandemic, things are shutting down, businesses not growing. So, you know, this is a great opportunity for them to come in.
Mm-hmm.
Say,
Exactly.
okay, you know,
exactly.
look, I used to do this, now I need something to get back on
Kind
my
of claws
feet.
the fisherman, but I can't do it no more.
Exactly,
I
you
mean, what if you're a big game hunter?
We may be able to help.
Maybe.
Might have to relocate a little bit.
Yeah,
That's
may
okay.
have to, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and then of course we have this and see this a lot, especially around military communities. Displaced homemaker.
It, you know, and I truly feel, and I'm saying this from the bottom of my heart, I have the utmost respect for military spouses. I used to, you know, my job as a soldier was pretty easy. I get in the truck, I follow the truck in front of me. If things go boom at night, we deal with the situation. But to me, it was a very, well, I don't want to say easy, but very structured environment for me. For my wife, raising 5 kids, you know, off on deployments, got to the point where she refused to watch the news. God bless my wife. I don't see how she did it.
Yeah.
And as a spouse, God bless all of you. I truly, truly mean that because I don't see how you do it.
Yeah, and you know, as a displaced homemaker, and like I said, a lot of people take these labels and titles and they twist them and turn them and pervert them. But all we're saying is the Department of Labor says an individual who has been providing unpaid services for family members in the home or a spouse of a member of the armed forces on active duty and has experienced loss of employment as a direct result of relocation, a PCS, or
Let's say if they're
discharge.
Guard or Reserve and their spouse was mobilized and they had to leave their job because the spouse got mobilized for a period of time.
Yeah, exactly. They could qualify for dislocated worker.
Nice.
And I mean, you know, and I understand it because, you know, being in the military for a while, especially during all the deployments,
That was insane.
it was not uncommon for spouses not even look for work
Mm-hmm.
because once the spouse was gone deployed, now they're everything to that family. You know, mom or dad is deployed, whoever's left back, now they're the chauffeur, the cook, the financial advisor, the educator,
All of the
the
above.
mom, the dad,
It's
both.
insane.
Yeah, and you know, and we see a lot of people that have come in here with those gaps in their resumes, you know,
Mhm.
and there's services for people in these situations.
And what's interesting, too, and I've said this in when we've done SFL TAP, and the last time Kevin and I went up there, we were talking about this. So, whether you're out there, Facebook, you live here in the Cochise County area, or you live up north, or you live in another state, look when you approach your local at work office, find out what industries find out what they're going to be, because everything is based off of the industry in your general area. So do your homework. Find out what, I thought it was kind of interesting. My daughter-in-law wants to be a veterinarian, and so my son's stationed in Colorado, and I called the local Arizona at work, and I said, "Hey, I got a dumb question. I'm out of Arizona. I have my daughter-in-law who wants to be a veterinarian. Is that something you guys could help?" She's like, "Yeah, because we're a huge cattle,
Hmm.
you know, in Colorado, I guess, ranching stuff like that." And I'm like, "Well, I'll be darned. That's kind of cool."
You gotta have some beef to offset all the weed.
Yeah, I know.
The munchies are a
Exactly.
killer.
Yeah, but what they were able to do is insane. So do your homework before you go to your local office, or if you have no idea, find out what they're capable of doing to assist
Yeah,
you. It's
exactly.
amazing.
And that's the great part about, you know, yes, we are Arizona at work, but WIOA is nationwide.
Yeah,
Every state has an American
job
job
center.
center.
Mm-hmm.
Now they may be labeled something different. Like in Arizona, it's Arizona at work. In Texas, it's
Texas Workforce Commission,
yeah,
I believe.
exactly. So every state has access to the WIOA funding.
Yeah.
So, and we can help you locate those places. So you're leaving this area, okay?
Yeah, let us.
No harm, no foul. We can reach out and find out whether it's a veteran representative,
Mm-hmm.
maybe it's just a workforce
And
specialist.
we've done that in the past. It's just we've had someone on the phone
Yep.
while we're calling the local at work and getting all that contact information and stuff.
Yeah. So another category to look at when we look at all this funding under the WIOA, and basically they're workforce grants that we use to fund money to fund training and education. So we have a thing called transitional jobs.
Which is awesome.
It is.
That is amazing.
So transitional jobs, it takes a look at these folks that maybe have a rough,
Not so stellar of a career.
yes, they've jumped from job to job.
Yeah.
And it could be legit reasons, or maybe they've been unemployed quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so what we do is we look for the opportunity to bring them in, and we put them in positions to work, to build up those skills, to build up,
Yeah.
whatever it is that they're longing to do. I mean, we've had a couple that came in and they helped out in the reception area of the One Stop.
Mm-hmm.
Build some skills and stuff. We've had others go to other places. We have people working at law firms.
Kind of cool.
It is. It's really nice, and it doesn't cost you a thing. And a lot of times it don't cost the employer because through the transitional jobs program, your wages are paid through that.
Mm-hmm.
And it is set on a time basically, but it's there to help fill some of those gaps of work history and build up some of those skills because you don't have a steady work history or you've been unemployed a lot. So it's really a great program for those that are struggling.
I know from my experience when before I joined the dark side, working with a few clients, because when I worked Title One, that program was so phenomenal, and one of my first one. I mean, it's just kind of interesting. Had a kid. He just wanted to work at an animal shelter. That's all he wanted to do, and got him in there, and he wound up running with the ball, and wound up being amazing. Very successful. But it's just a really neat program. And sometimes, someone will come in and they say, "Hey, Jerry, I just want to do this or whatever." You look at them like, "How you can make a living with that?" But let's find let's see if there's employers out there that'll give you a chance.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
a lot of times they will.
Yep. And it is, there can be some challenges right now with the pandemic stuff and the COVID going around, but we also, like we talked about up in category 2, the layoff aversion.
Mm-hmm.
Worst thing to do is find out, hey, in a month or a couple of weeks, you're not going to have a job because we're selling, we're shutting down, I'm retiring.
Or you just show up for work and the door's
And there's
locked.
yeah.
And there's a chain on the door.
And that has happened,
Yes, we're not making that up.
So yeah, I mean, the layoff aversion, if you know people in that situation, definitely let us know because we're here to help to pass out the words. We have a category and we have funding and help for folks with disabilities.
Mm-hmm.
We have the vocational rehabilitation team that are partners with us under this umbrella of Arizona at Work. Their whole thing, and it's all funded, is to help those with disabilities. You know, whether it's something you've acquired through injury or accident. You know, say you've been a mechanic your whole life, and all of a sudden something's happened, you can't do it. It's too physical. It's too demanding. They have training and resources to help you get into another job, or another skill that you can do without causing further injury to yourself.
Exactly.
You know, and sometimes it's as easy as buying equipment. You know, helping an employer get equipment to facilitate some of the needs you have.
No, and you're right. There's just so much that can be done, and this is a major factor. And like you were saying a little bit ago, trying to find out who you are. So if you want to go to school and you're like, I don't qualify for any of that. Well, how do you know unless you come in and talk
Exactly.
to us? How do you know because you heard a barracks lawyer say, well, dude, I went down there 4 months ago or 5 years ago. They wouldn't help me do nothing.
Yeah, or you listen to the politicians and the naysayers on Facebook.
Yeah, stop. Come on down. Let us talk to you.
Yeah, every situation's different. You know, I've had conversations with people that have posted negative comments about us.
Yeah.
You know, to try to find out, okay, well, what's going on?
I know from the veteran side of the house, we have, and this is what I think is kind of cool, especially on the WIOA. We have what we call the Veteran Toolkit. And so we'll say that you need to get tools to start working. So you come in and you're like, well, Jerry, I need $1,000 worth of tools. So we have the ability to purchase certain items through no cost to you, the client. However, we'll say that what you want to get, it's a lot of money. So we've had it in the past to say, hey, WIOA Title I have this client. They need to have these items. Can we work together to get these items? And through no cost to you. So now the client walks out of here in a very very short period of time to have the items that they're going to need to be able to start work, because that is a major barrier.
Yeah.
What if that's the only assistance you need is to get a bicycle or to get a suit, and you don't have that? Cause between WIOA and Veteran Services, there's a lot we can do to assist that client to get them back into work, or even get them pushed into a training program.
Yep. So the next category that I want to talk about, I'm sort of jumping around.
All over the radar.
It's under WIOA adult. Okay, so like I said, adult, any individual who is 18 years or older, a citizen of or national of the United States, or a lawfully admitted resident, alien, refugee, asylee, parolee, or other immigrant authorized to work in the U.S. and meet Section 3 of the Military Selective Service Act. So that's a broad topic. So
it's a lot to take in.
So, but under that, there's other, rules, statutories, categories, adults under that could be those that are low income status. Mm-hmm. They're in that dead end job, just working because they got to pay the bills. But it's really not what they want to do. They're miserable, and they don't know how to take that step. Because they're
scared.
Yeah, because they still got to pay the bills. They still got to feed the children. One of the things we have is for incumbent workers. Now, incumbent worker training, it's sort of geared for the employer. But one thing I learned in the military, if you want something, you find everything out you need to know. How do I get to that? And then you go to the boss and say, look, boss, this is what I want to do.
And don't be afraid to ask questions.
Exactly. And
don't be scared.
And under the incumbent worker training, and one of the reasons I'd like to share this with our Facebook family is that, so you're working a job and you're at the level 1, but there's a position at level 2. However, it requires certain training or certification in the IT world. And you're like, okay, well, I don't have that, and I can't afford to do that. I can't take the time to do that. Well, under the incumbent worker training program, it's designed to meet the special needs of your organization to retain a skilled workforce. So we may be able to pay for those certifications or some of that training if you qualify through your organization.
So let me ask you this. So say I need Security Plus just to start work. But once I get into the company, what if I need additional certifications that I know at some point? Once I'm in the system, am I in the system, or is it only going to get me things that's just going to get me employed?
No, once you're in the system, you're in the system. And all they got to do is, so maybe your agreement is initially to get you in the door.
Right.
You're still in our system. So if you want to do upscale, get more training certifications for a better position, better pay, then just come back in. We'll get you all set up, and then we'll work at it from there. You know, the incumbent worker program, and unfortunately we have had businesses that took advantage of this and did not do what needed to be done. You know, we paid
Human
for
nature, I think.
Yeah, we paid for individuals to get trained up, and then they just let them go. But that's the negative side. There's a lot of positive sides, a lot of good stuff.
Now you're marketable because now you have the certification or the training.
Exactly. And, you know, we've helped people move up to management positions, administrative positions, go from that level 1 to the level 2, even sometimes level 3 or 4. And so there's no real limit to it. You just come in, you do the paperwork, get the orientation, and we may be able to help you to grow. And for those folks that are in that dead-end job, but there's some growth potential, there's an opportunity for you to grow and to get that training or that certification without interrupting your paycheck to provide for your family.
Yeah, I mean, and a lot of people feel it, and God bless those that, you know, I'm just going to pay for that out of my own pocket. That's awesome. That's amazing. But I get it. Swallow your pride.
Yeah.
We're not going to take, you know, we want you successful. We want you to be able to go buy that brand new car that you've always wanted instead of driving that beat up hoopty. Or we want you moving out of the apartment into a nicer upscale house or whatever. Because it's kind of a selfish standpoint at this point. We want you spending money in our communities. We want you helping our community, our economy grow.
Yeah.
You know, because I understand if you're only able to buy ramen and feed your family, but now you're buying hamburger helper, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And it may not seem like a lot, but now you're spending more money at Walmart or Safeway, or you go from eating hamburgers to steaks, you know. That is a huge thing, and it may not seem like a lot, but it is.
Yeah, every little step makes a difference.
It does.
You know? And I've been to those moments in life where you were scrapping and trying to eat something other than ramen.
How many times did you smuggle home MREs?
Yeah. I'm just saying. I know people that did that. I'm just saying, you know. So, our adult and dislocated worker program provides activities that increase, particular for individuals with barrier to employment. Like I said, the biggest thing we can say is barriers to employment. We help folks with barriers to employment. Like you said, it could be just a resume. And Lord knows I've seen a lot of them that could use some help.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the way they job search, what they're looking at, what they're looking for. You know, maybe there's a skill deficiency. You know, you've been out of the workforce for a while, you're a displaced homemaker, or you just never had the motivation.
I don't mean to kind of sidetrack, but it to me, you know, I think we were talking about this with a coworker a while back, with the whole virtual job fairs now. You mentioned virtual. That scares a lot of people because you're going online, you're going to talk to a recruiter virtually, and now you're going to have to chat box. Just the word virtual could be a barrier to employment for certain people if you look at it from this standpoint. So, say you don't know how to text, or say you don't know how to utilize use the Queen's English properly. I hate to say it that way, but um, and I'm gonna do a shout out to Angelica over at Goodwill. But they offer classes, tutorials, which are amazing. Simple little classes, and you get certified at the end of those. And like you're saying, a lot of people barriers to employment. It's amazing what could be construed as a barrier to employment, and and those small little things could just stop you from having that job you've always wanted because you're afraid to take that leap of faith.
Well, and and a lot of times people don't realize the barriers to the employment.
Exactly.
Sometimes it's right there in front of them.
Or maybe
Like,
your own barrier.
yeah, well, I mean, you got the big stuff like an offender, someone coming out of prison, reentry, back into real life. They made a bad mistake, they made a bad decision, now they're marked. You know, they have a true barrier to employment
Mm-hmm.
because of something that they
Happen.
did or
Yeah.
happened to them in the past. And unfortunately, I wish I had the, quick fix for all that. But it's difficult for a lot of these folks.
It is.
I
It
know
is.
a lot of them, and I've tried to help a lot of them find employment stuff, and it is a struggle. It's almost like leprosy back in the olden days. Everybody's like, ooh,
Yeah.
you know,
But what's amazing though, and just to use say truck driving as an example, you get someone who just gets released, is in jail for a long period of time or whatever, and we'll say they want to be a truck driver. Now, granted, they may not be able to start off at the creme de la creme company, but there's companies out there that will work with you. And I think the challenging part with barriers like that to employment, I know it's going to suck to get the door slammed in your face. I get that. I sympathize and I'm sorry they're going through that. However, this is the challenging part for the client themselves is getting out there, pound the pavement, do your homework before you come in here and talk to us. Or just get some basic information to say, hey, Jerry, hey, Eric, I want to be a truck driver or I want to do this, but I've talked to some people, some companies. What other outlets are there,
yeah,
websites or whatever, to talk to all of the companies? Because you never know what the employer is looking for until you ask them.
yeah, and that is so correct. And a lot of it, a lot of the biggest challenges for job seekers is a lot of them don't want to take ownership.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to do their due diligence. They want other people to do it for them. And here we'll bend over backwards most of the time. But we can only do so much as a third party. I can only do so much advocating for a person.
Exactly.
If they don't return the phone calls, if they don't go in for the interview, and they just keep blowing it off, I can't do nothing about that. That's on them. But going back to the barriers to employment, you got those disabilities, reentry, second chance citizens. Those are big
Yeah, those
barriers,
are
and
huge ones.
most people realize those. But a lot of people, they may not understand their low income status, skills deficiency, the displaced homemaker not having a job, other than taking care of the family for so long. Those are the ones I think that a lot of people, whether it's pride, whether it's just they don't realize it, those are barriers to employment. I mean, you look at low income status, you're on food stamps, you're having Chapter 8 housing, all that kind of stuff. And not putting any of them down because I've been there myself, but a lot of people may not realize that is a barrier.
It is, and back in the day, the young soldier. I was at work one day complaining. It was just talking to my section chief, and he's like, you know what, Courier, do me a favor, take a deep breath. And I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, just do it. So like Idiot, I did. And he's like, you know what that is? I'm like, what? He's like, sucking it up. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be all right. And I, there's a lot of stuff I learned in the army that probably doesn't make sense to a lot of non-military, but it's true. You're gonna have to suck it up a little bit. It's not fun, but it's gonna be fine because, like I said earlier, and you said it's a broken record. We just want to help.
Yeah.
We're here to help.
Yeah.
If we didn't help you, maybe there's a reason, and we're sorry. But unfortunately, you have to qualify for our programs. But what amazes me, it's easy to qualify for our programs.
It is. I mean, especially if you come from a low income family.
Exactly.
Because some of our services are based on income, family income. However, just like income at work or layoff aversion, stuff like that, that has, a lot of times that don't even have anything to do with income. That is you moving up in the world.
Exactly.
Or, trying to maintain a paycheck after they let you go or whatnot. So, we got all different types of level, and we even got a youth program, and we've got the adult, we've got dislocated worker. So,
exactly.
With all these little categories, and I know it's probably a lot we've talked about.
It usually is a lot of information that's thrown out there.
It is, and that's why I encourage everyone out there, 8 or 9 o'clock, Monday through Wednesday, we do an orientation.
You just come in and listen.
Come in about 10, 15 minutes early, check in with the front desk, please, wear your mask, and one of our career advisors will come in and talk to you about the programs, even give you a starting packet and to see about qualifications and answer a lot of the questions.
Correct me if I'm wrong with some of the programs. I know some are a little bit more tighter requirements.
Yeah,
but
some of
then,
them are.
depending upon what you're trying to get into, a little bit, like you're saying, some may be family size, yearly income, and then some are like if you just lost your job or you don't make so much money a year.
And those transition of military members, that's a big topic too because, a lot of them walk out of the door without anything lined up.
Mm-hmm.
And they think, oh, somebody will hire me. I'll be good. I'm all right.
Yeah.
And then
reality
when the poop hits the fan, and they're like, ah,
the sky's falling.
Exactly.
This I think is an interesting discussion as far as who are you, and it's if you look throughout history of probably go way back. How people were probably sitting in the living room one night or in a tent in some far off godforsaken place, freezing or sweating, and they said, when I get home or I'm going to do this. It's like what's fascinating, how ski resorts wound up getting started. It's really a neat story. But or someone there's a show I saw it advertised on history. It's coming out on history. I think it's like the history of food, how food got started by certain people. Here were some people that were just sitting there and like, wow, I wonder if I make this little bitty patty and put it on some bread, I wonder if that'd sell. How hamburgers or someone just sitting there, I don't like working here, but this is what I've always wanted to do. And yeah, it's nice to be able to go buy your toys, but at the same time, are you happy where you're at? Are you content?
Well, it's like I tell my oldest children, you got to sacrifice at the start.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to buckle down. You've got to make good, strong decisions and sacrifice some of those toys to get it going. Once you get it going and you've established yourself and you're making good money, then the toys come in, and then you can have your midlife crisis and all that other stuff. But a lot of people, they just want to go out and spend. Oh, I got money today.
And you're right. Yeah,
And that's one thing I want to say to the audience is that this unemployment stuff is going to go away.
Mm-hmm.
It did last time when there were $600 extra. It went away. Now there's 300 extra, and we don't know what's going to happen after March 31st.
No, and you're right. And right now it's scary because yeah, there's resources there, and yeah, you're able to make your pay your bills or whatever. But what was that used to be told? Freedom ain't free. You know,
Yeah.
at some point, you know, at the end of March, I would I would think between now and then, maybe you need to start thinking sooner the better. Well, what if this does stop? How can I get back into the workforce? Or is it now the time to get into a training program? Or, you have all these questions. You got kids, or you're single, whatever the situation is, or you're living in your parents' basement
Yeah.
because, and that's okay. But now's the time to start coming up with a plan, probably to, or if you don't understand any of it, you heard about what Eric and has been going over today, and you're just trying to, hey Jerry, or hey Eric, I saw your Facebook Live, but what is an incumbent worker? I heard you mention that. You said something about 9 in the morning. Okay, come on in. Let let our coworkers brief you on all these programs that you may or may not qualify for, and if you don't, is there anything else out there that could get me going in this is the direction I want to go?
Yeah.
Too easy.
And I'm always on social media. I'm always on
You're
Facebook.
a social media guru.
I don't know about that. They keep changing things
You're
on me.
pretty,
So but if you do have a question, re- reach out to me on social media. Like us on Facebook, Arizona at Work, Southeastern Arizona. Like us on Twitter, like us on YouTube. Go check out our YouTube channel where we post these videos.
Yeah.
Hopefully this year there's going to be some more stuff coming. Beefing up production on the podcast, uh, putting some other thoughts out there, maybe doing some videos or whatnot.
Okay, cool.
So new year, new ideas, trying to broaden things out, working with other organizations and businesses. So check us out. We've got two offices in Cochise County. We got one here in Sierra Vista at 2600 East Wilcox Drive, over at the Cochise College Downtown Center. For those who've been here a while, the old hospital. And we have our office in Douglas at 515 East 7th Street. Now, businesses as well, we've got resources. We can do hiring fairs. We can do uh, ads, publications, job postings. Although all of you out there, whether you're a business or job seeker, I do encourage you to go check out Arizona Job Connection. AJC is the largest workforce database in Arizona. It's got a real nice little resume builder.
It's not bad.
And it also it is a little lengthy to register because it's asking you a lot of questions to see if you may qualify for some of these programs. If you and even if it says no, still come talk to us because maybe there's a disconnect from what you understood and what it's asking.
And one of the things, speaking of AJC, um, when I first started working with it a long time ago, I wasn't a big fan of it. However, after all these years, one of the things I tell clients is AJC can have up to 5 resumes in the system. AJC, in my opinion, is a really great place to have that master resume. And then you can go in, do whatever it is you're going to do. There's a lot of benefits to AJC because it does a lot of the thinking for you. And like you said, it is tedious. However, all you got to do is click, 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 read and click. That's all you got to do. And if you, and we get it all the time, you forgot your username, password, whatever, just let us know. We can help you reset all that. Or, and what I like about AJC is you could download your resume and then you could clean it up, if you will, rearrange it. And that's what it's done for you. You just have to do what you want done with it after that.
Yeah, and it is. I mean, it has its good points and it has its downsides, which it's just like everything else in life.
But it's okay.
Yeah,
it's fine.
So if you're interested, like I mentioned earlier, I've got about 300 jobs that I've got information on. That when I did my job search. If you're interested, hit me up on social media. You don't have to put your personal. Just say interested. I'll send you a private message. And then we can exchange contact, and I can send you this information.
And as far because of the pandemic, I just want to say this now. If times are tough, lack of money for gas, stuff like that, but you have access to, your phone and all that other fun stuff, give me a call. If you live out in outlying towns and stuff like that, if we have a local office and you're able to get to that office, one, I'll meet you there. I'll come to you. Two, if you don't have the ability, give me a call at 520-458-9309, and we'll do all this over the phone.
Yeah, well, we also have partnerships with all the libraries throughout the county to run an access point. So, say you're in Elfrida or one of these small towns out there that's not really close to a workforce center. Give us a call. We can set up a time to meet you at the library.
Or if you're not sure, for whatever reason, if your library's open, which I did find out, the majority of them are open. There's only, I think, one or two, and I could be wrong. But that's okay. If you're not sure, let us know, and we'll help you out.
We'll work with you, and that's way too easy. So if you get a group together and go to your local library, we'll come out there and do resume classes. We'll help you with group projects or whatnot. So we're here. We're available. We're ready to help you out. Make this new year, 2021, a great new year. Granted, there's a lot of stuff so far in 2021 that seems a bit unsure and scary that we don't have control over.
But I'd like to think, and this is just my 2 cents. On a serious note, it's been very challenging. You and I have been inside the office since this all started, and some of our other staff. It's been an emotional roller coaster, I think.
To say the least.
It's been hard. It's been tough, but I think at the end of the day, we're all in this together. I mean, and I truly mean that, because this has affected us as much as it has you. We've had our high points, our low points, but I know, but at the end of the day, speak for Eric, but we want to help. We want to help you in the best we can. The only hard part about a lot of this stuff, you have to qualify, and that's okay. They're easy to qualify for, but you won't know until you ask, and that's all.
Exactly.
Just give us a shot. That's all we. Give us a shot.
So we want to say thank you for joining us today. We look forward to next week. Me and Jerry are going to sit down and brainstorm some ideas. If you out there have ideas of what you'd like to hear us talk about when it comes to job seeking, business, workforce, veterans, let us know. We really look forward to your feedback, what you want to talk about. I've had a couple of good ideas that I'm doing research on right now. But yeah, there's a lot of challenges going on. And just remember, focus on the things you have control over, that you can control and change. And don't get so worked up over those things you don't have control over.
Exactly.
And we're here to help at Arizona at Work, Southeastern Arizona. Once again, we're located 2600 East Wilcox Drive in Sierra Vista and at 515 East 7th Street in Douglas. We also have an office in Safford and Clifton. Reach out if you got any questions. I'm always on social media. You can give us a call, 520-458-9309.
So what if I just want to know why you're so amazing?
Well,
if that's my only question.
If that's the only question, I would recommend a private message, so that way we can talk, and I can share some of my secrets. But I can't give all my secrets out.
I say this all the time. I don't see how you get through your day.
Well, it is tough, especially on those days when I put my foot in my mouth, and I upset a lot of folks on social media. So
dun, dun, dun.
If I have offended you, I do apologize. Sometimes I try to be funny, and my wife always reminds me I'm not as funny as I think I am.
Funny.
Well,
I think you're pretty hilarious.
I have my moments,
But he's a good carpenter, people. He's amazing. I've always wondered why you're in the garage a lot. Maybe I know now.
Between that and the moonshine, still got hidden back.
It's awesome. Good stuff.
But thank you again for joining us. We've had a great time with our first episode of the year. We look forward to seeing you again next week. If you need anything, give us a holler, shoot me a message. I'll be sharing this video on several different groups after this. Thank you.